Alrighty guys, thank you so much for joining, and this presentation is going to start soon. I just want to make sure that we get as many people in here as possible so we can help as many people as possible. So we're going to be starting in about 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds, but thank you so much for being here. I have compiled so much information and I'm going to be able to help you learn so many tricks and actually change your snowboarding. So let's let a couple more people pile in and then we're going to get started. So thank you so much for being here. I've taken the last 20 years of my life and been able to pile it into this presentation. And so you can just hear I am so excited to be able to help you and change your snowboarding. So let's get started. I hope everyone's here. The first thing I want to be able to do is have you guys, if you're on your cell phone, totally okay, but put it on silence. And then if you're on your computer, let's put all the distractions away because there's so much cool content in here that I don't want you to miss anything. Honestly, I don't want you to miss anything. So let's get this started. Today, I want to be able to teach you how to land more tricks and overcome fear without getting hurt. Okay? And that's a big deal because I know that a lot of us are in this exact position. We just want to learn how to snowboard and do more tricks and do cool things, but man, we just don't want to crash. We don't want to fall all the time because that's not fun, right? So you're in the right place if you just started riding park, because I'm going to be able to break this down in some simple terms and be able to highlight some of the things that are making snowboarding harder. But let's say you've been snowboarding for a long time. Well, there's a lot of little secrets that I'm also going to be able to present to you guys and help you, and that you can walk away with one aha moment. Then I'm going to be extremely stoked. So you are in the right place if you just started riding park or you've been riding park a while. This is for the snowboarder who keeps crashing over and over and over, that allows fear to stop them from progressing and is maybe insecure about their riding ability. For example, you roll up to the park, there's a pro snowboarder, and you're like, oh man, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. No. And then you end up sitting there for 20 minutes because you're just nervous. You're just not confident in what you're going to be able to do, whether it looks cool, whether you're going to land. So you're in the right place. And this is for the snowboarders that are, that are having a hard time because you keep crashing, you're dealing with fear, or you're just not super confident in your own ability. Is this you? Are you ready to take the step forward to landing more tricks and learn tricks faster? In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly why you're falling and how to fix those exact problems that causes you to crash. Wouldn't that be awesome to know exactly why you're falling and crashing? In the next 60 minutes, I'm going to show you how to overcome your fears so you can become a snowboard boss. Now, when I think about a snowboard boss, and let's break down the word boss itself, they're the person who's in control. They're the one who is dictating the actual outcome, right? So what if we were able to do that for our snowboarding? We're actually taking control of our snowboarding. I want to go do this trick and I can actually do it. I dictate the outcome. And I want to go hit a 10-foot cliff. I can. I want to go hit a 50-foot jump. I want to take control of my snowboarding so that I can do incredible things. So that's what I want to be able to give to you guys. I want you guys to be a snowboard boss. I want you guys to take control. Now, if you guys stay to the end, I'm going to give you my must-have snowboard trick blueprint for free, 100% free. This is a snowboard, a quick start guide to learning tricks. Essentially what you're going to be able to do is fill out this guide, and then it's going to tell you exactly what tricks you need to work on next, how well you have the tricks that you have, and maybe you need to clean up some tricks and be able to spend more time and focus on that. Well, this guide is going to give you that. And if you just stay to the end, I'm seriously just going to give this to you for free. So once this presentation's over, down below, the screen's going to unlock a downloadable link, and you're just going to click that button, and then you're going to be able to download that right away. Once this presentation's over, boom, it's going to be down there just below. Okay, so are you a snowboarder who feels like you're doing everything right, but you just can't seem to progress fast? Are you a snowboarder who feels like you want to be a better snowboarder, but you're just feeling lost? You just don't know what to do next, if you're in the right positions, you're feeling lost about what to do. Okay. And are you a snowboarder who feels like you're letting fear control your snowboarding? And maybe that fear is actually roadblocking you from going to where you want to be? You want to learn a trick, but you're scared to hit the jump. You want to go hit a cliff, but you're just terrified of the outcome? So the real problem here, the real problem is You think you're doing everything right, but you just keep crashing. You've had these bad experiences, and then you've trained your body and mind to like be scared or to replicate, just keep doing the same thing over and over. Now you're in this like vicious cycle, right? You're just like crashing and now you're scared. And then you crash again and you're more scared. Like this vicious cycle will just keep going, going, and going. So let me ask you a question. Do you ever do you ever tell yourself, like, I should be better at snowboarding? I should have way more tricks. I should be a better snowboarder. Like, does this sound like you? Well, the truth is, your snowboard goals are not impossible. You just haven't found the right coach or the right system that works for you. Okay, so now imagine hitting this jump right here on the left. Like, this girl's 13. She's hitting 55 and 60-foot jumps at 13, and she's like tweaking it out like it's incredible. It's like, imagine being able to actually control your snowboard so that you can go learn the tricks that you want, that you can progress as fast as you want, that you're not frustrated with falling and crashing. Like, imagine how amazing that actually would be. So if you were able to do that, actually take control of your snowboarding, how would this change your snowboarding? Would you be like this girl on the right who's now competing at Grand Prix and doing some amazing things, traveling the world, snowboarding and doing cool things? But like, what would that do for you? Would that just make you more confident? Would you want to post on social media more? Would that give you the confidence to go try your local competition or reach out to sponsors? Like, what would it do for you to be able to like do these things? How would this change your snowboarding if you could completely take control? My goal for this masterclass, for this snowboard masterclass, is for you to know exactly why you're falling and to have a blueprint on how to progress your way through snowboarding. So, my name is Tommy Bennett, and I'm a former competitive athlete. When I was younger, I was competing in New Zealand at the New Zealand Open. I was competing in the US Open. I've competed in the local regional USASA events and like semi-pro events like in Rev Tour. So I've done like the Grand Prix, like the top competitions all the way down. Like I've worked my way down. So So my name is Tommy Bennett, and I'm a former competitive athlete. So when I was younger, I started at the grassroots program with the USASA events. I made it to nationals, and then I was able to get qualified for the next level, which would be called Rev Tour. And then I was actually competing on some pretty big stages like the US Open. I traveled to New Zealand and competed, and I did some Grand Prix as well. I was actually competing in halfpipe, border cross, and slope style, which was pretty fun. So I have a lot of experience on a whole bunch of different avenues of snowboarding. At that time, I was sponsored by Oakley, Solomon, and Bonfire. So I've been able to work with reps and companies and have that experience of being able to network and do some really cool things with these pretty big companies. But then when I was 17, like my life completely changed. I broke my back and I had to overcome some crazy huge mental blocks. So real quick, when I was 17, I was competing and traveling like a whole bunch, and I was snowboarding with my competitive team. So I had like a coach and stuff. I was practicing about 6 days a week, and finally like I got a day off and I wanted to go ride with my brother, and I love riding with my brother, and I wanted to like show off a little bit. So we went to our local resort, and I did a backside 720 in the half pipe, and unfortunately I timed it completely wrong. I landed on top of the deck and I fell about 20 feet directly onto my back. And if you've ever been in a half pipe or ever heard it or seen it on TV, it is bulletproof. It's literally like ice. It is the craziest thing. So as you're going on the wall, you're just hearing like the sounds of ice everywhere. It's pretty crazy. So I was feeling pretty confident at that time. So I tried that 720 and I landed on the deck, bounced to flat. So I fell that 20 feet directly flat on my back, and I completely knocked the wind out of me. I got so sick. I feel like I was throwing up, and I was just like miserable. So about 1 to 2 minutes later, I was able to kind of get calm and self-evaluate and see what was going on. And I realized that my back was pretty miserable. Like I was in so much pain, and I just like wanted to throw up. I had like a tear in my eye because I was like, whoa, like my back's this bad. So fast forward a little bit, I go to the hospital and they tell me that you broke your back. And I was like, holy cow. Like, huh. So then I ended up, like, fast forward a little bit, I ended up having some crazy mental blocks because I used to hit 80-foot jumps. I used to spin these crazy spins. And then I was scared to hit a 5-foot jump because my mind and my body like didn't trust me anymore. It was just wondering like, why are you doing this? Why are you catching air? You could have been paralyzed. Your life could be completely different. Like, why are you doing this? So then I had to make a life decision. Either I'm going to quit snowboarding because it terrifies me, and every time I hit a jump after breaking my back, I was literally in tears because I was so scared. So the decisions I had to make was quit snowboarding because you're too scared, or figure out a way to overcome this. And it wasn't an easy road, I'll be honest. It took me about 3 years to overcome this, and I had to find a coach and a system that was able to give me the tools and the resources that I need to be able to overcome these injuries. Like, it wasn't just it wasn't an injury of I broke a wrist and throw a cast on it, you'll be fine. Like, I thought I was going to be paralyzed. So I was able to find a system that helped me overcome breaking my back. So by understanding, like, by going through this like dark time in my snowboarding, I was able to take what I knew on how I overcame the fears, the crazy tricks that I've done, and then I started coaching. So I've been professionally coaching for the last 13 years. Now, the coolest part about this story is after breaking my back, about 10 years later, I actually landed a backside 1260. That's 3.5 rotations in the air 10 years after breaking my back. So it wasn't like I overcame mental blocks and I'm not scared to hit 5-foot jumps. I was actually hitting 65-foot jumps, spinning backside 12s, landing switch, and feeling like on top of the world at almost the age of 30. So with all this like experience and this motivation and these like tools, I need to be able to pass this on. And that's really why I've created this masterclass for you, is because I can only help so many people at one time. But through this masterclass, I can literally reach out to as many people as humanly possible and share this knowledge and this experience that I have with the world. Okay? So that's why I'm doing this. So, I broke my back. Now I'm in a position where I've been coaching for 13 years, and it's time for me to create my own program. So I am the owner and head coach of Premier Snow Academy based in Colorado. Colorado is where I grew up, and it's also the mecca of having just the best resources possible. You have Copper, Breckenridge, Keystone, and some incredible training facilities all right here, like literally in my backyard. So I've done a lot of things wrong. I used to be that athlete who would just go chuck themselves. If I had a 10% chance of landing a trick, man, I would just go try that. Like, I didn't care if I was going to get hurt. Like, when I was traveling, competing across the world, I literally just had no care for my body. And obviously that resulted into having some insane injuries. I've broken both my wrists. I've broken my ankle, and I've had surgeries. Like, it's not been awesome, right? But I've done a lot of things right. And the cool thing is that I've been able to learn a lot of tricks. I've been able to be sponsored by some really cool companies, and I've gotten to travel and learn what it really takes to be a professional athlete. That's the best thing, is that I've learned from my mistakes. Now I've been able to give this information away. Like, I want to give it to you. So my coaching methodology. So after breaking my back and all that stuff, I've come up with this system. And this system essentially is, instead of just hucking and chucking yourself, let's break down a trick, and let's say it's a 360 or even a double backflip. You can break that trick into 10 steps. And for some athletes, they need to break it down into 10 steps. Some athletes only need 7 or 5 steps. But what I used to do is, instead of doing all 10 steps, I would go from step 1, 2, and then just skip them all. And then I would go right to step 10. Like, literally, I would just like try to skip them all because I was impatient and I just didn't understand. So my coaching methodology now is, let's take the right steps. Let's develop the skills so that we can have like incredible success. So let's talk about some of the success and the proof that this system works. So this athlete right here, his name's Harkin, and last year he started working with me. The day he showed up, he had a frontside 360, and I'm going to show you a nice little video of the frontside 360. Pretty cool, right? Like, he had a 360, but that's not that impressive. By the end of the season, he was able to land frontside 900s and double backflips, literally in one season. And here's the proof. This is the frontside 900.
Yo!
Right, like that, he just landed double backflip and frontside 900s in one season of working with me. And by taking this approach and this methodology. But it didn't just work for Harkin. I worked with Blake Moeller for about 10 years, and I want to be able to show you what we were able to accomplish. So if I'm taking steps 1 through 10, by the time you get to step 10, that trick should be easy. Honestly, it should be easy, and you should be getting it within 1 to 2 tries. And here's an example. You landed first try?
Yeah, I got it first try.
Never tried a dub before, landed first try.
Yeah.
That is going down in history. And then he had some crazy tricks like that. It's a backside double 10. But literally, if you're using this method and all of a sudden you've taken the right steps and you've developed the right skills, you're able to do double backflips first try because you've taken the right steps and you've used the right method. It's pretty incredible, right? Like imagine being able to land double backflip first try. Or maybe for you, it's 360 and being able to develop the skills and land that trick within 1 to 2 tries. Like I said earlier about the 10%, if I had a 10% chance of landing, I would just chuck it. But that means there's a 90% chance that I'm just going to get completely wrecked. And that's not a good idea. But if I had a 99% chance of landing or a 90% chance of landing, then I know I'm doing something right. Now, I've worked with a lot of different athletes that are awesome people, but they're not these crazy phenoms. They're normal snowboarders just like you, but they're able to do incredible things. This is Cam doing this hip, and he's been snowboarding. He hasn't been snowboarding that long, but like he's doing some really cool tricks with style. Roya, I pointed her out earlier. She's able to hit like 50 and 60 foot jumps, and she's like 13. Savannah Atkins actually competed in Grand Prix and Dew Tour, and she's taken a system that's allowed her to get there, and obviously doing some pretty cool tricks along the way. And then Max, when I first rode with Max, he had, been hitting like 10, 15 foot jumps. But then I have this picture of him in Whistler. Like this picture almost seems fake because it's just so good. He's like in such a good body position, feeling really strong. So you're able to take like some normal snowboarders and do some incredible things with them. And then me, like I said, I still snowboard. I'm still passionate about it. And I take pride in still being able to do the tricks that you want to learn. So I have athletes that ask me to do it, like I want to know how to do a 360. But the thing is, I've done the 360. I've done the 540, the 720s, and back 12s. So I have experience of what it feels like and what it should feel like, and then expedite the process so you don't have to like crash every single day. You got to be able to trust, and you got to be able to know that the person that's coaching you and leading you down the road is not just talking theory, that they've actually done it and they have the experience so that they can help expedite that process. So, quick, we just got to go over this. The disclaimer. Ultimately, you're in charge of your actions. So, Tommy Bennett, myself, and Premier Snowboard Academy are not liable for any actions that you take. Essentially, you got to follow this system, but ultimately, you got to make the right decisions. Are you doing this an appropriate day where the conditions are right, the sun is right, your board is waxed, that the vibe is good, that you've taken those precautions? So whatever it is, you're still ultimately in control of your actions, just like me, right? I got to go out there and snowboard, and there's a chance that I can get hurt. Well, I'm taking responsibility for my actions, and I'm not responsible for any of your actions. Alrighty, so the secrets to becoming a snowboard boss. I got 3 amazing secrets, and the first we're going to start with secret number 1, how to land 10 times more tricks simply by changing one thing. Like, wouldn't that be amazing if we could change one thing and all of a sudden became this incredible snowboarder? That's secret number 1. Now, secret number 2, the fear is making snowboarding way harder than it needs to be. You're literally sabotaging yourself as you're going into a jump because fear is making it way harder, okay? Now, secret number 3 is your shoulders are the most powerful weapon in snowboarding. And once you're able to utilize your shoulders, you're going to unlock an incredible level of snowboarding. So, let's get started. Secret number 1, how to land 10 times more tricks simply by changing one thing. Well, first we got to understand what you're doing wrong and understand that it's not your fault. This is a classic picture of somebody on the left who is your normal snowboarder. They are essentially putting a lot of weight on one knee more than the other. They're also really twisted. So let's compare that picture on the left to the picture on the right. The guy on the right, if he was in a bad position, he would not be able to lift all this crazy weight. He's got to be in this position that allows his shoulders and his hips and his knees to be in the right position so he can lift that weight. So imagine this guy on the right lifting all this weight, but he was standing like he was on the left, like all twisted and stuff. What would happen is your range of motion would be limited, so you wouldn't be able to squat all the way down, and you'd put so much pressure on one of your knees that you could actually hurt your knees. So I'm going to give you a video of somebody like a normal snowboarder.
So now we're going to look at some real world footage. Now, as I play this video, I want you to understand where this body position is. So we're looking at those shoulders and what ends up happening, and does he fall or not? So let's play the clip. All right, so this guy's going off the jump. Everything's looking pretty awesome. Oh no, arm starts swinging. He starts panicking, and of course he goes down. And like I said, this starts from the body position that he's coming in on. So I'm just going to scroll back a little bit. This body position right here is just the same body position I had on the last slide that we had. And then he keeps that body position through the jump. And unfortunately, it makes it really hard to stay balanced, and he actually does crash because of this body position that he's in.
So it's a pretty common problem. So next, a strong and stacked position. Now let's define this. So we have this gentleman on the left who's lifting an incredible amount of weight, and then now we have this picture on the right. This is how we combine those two. Essentially, the top line, the top blue line, is my shoulders, and then the middle line is my hips, and then the bottom is my knees. Essentially, these got to be stacked. But if you'll notice the biggest difference between both of these pictures, yeah, granted, they're like, the picture on the right of me is not squatting all the way down and I don't have a whole bunch of weight, but the biggest difference is simply where my head is looking. Look how I've turned my head, but my shoulders, hips, and knees are in this very strong position, kind of representing that strong position that we see in the left. Now, this is a picture of what that normal person, that general public, or that average snowboarder, which is probably you, 99% of snowboarders ride like this. That's the harsh reality, and the harsh truth and the reality of it is most people snowboard like that. Notice the big difference. They're completely different positions. Now you're going to ask, like, why? So I'm going to explain exactly why does this happen.
Okay, so I've taken you here to my studio, and I want to get this point across. Essentially, we got to understand why we get into this position so that we can create the change and know exactly what we need to do. So the first thing we got to understand is our field of vision. Essentially, we perceive our world just facing forward. So here's a couple examples. As I drive in my car, I'm looking forward. As I'm running on the beach or I'm running down a bike path, I'm going forward. Another example would be as I go to the grocery store and I want to grab a bottle of water, everything that I do is going to be forward. And it's crazy how much time we actually perceive forward. So let's ask ourselves, and I'm going to ask you, where do I spend a significant amount of time in my life moving laterally? Now, I'm not talking 10, 20 seconds. I'm talking 3, 5, even 10 minutes. So like the only real example that I have is like a pro football player. Well, there's two problems with that. A, I'm never going to be a pro football player. But again, they're not spending a significant amount of time moving sideways. If I was a middle linebacker, essentially I may be moving left and right, being able to look at the ball and then try to tackle that person, but I may move 15 feet to the right or 15 feet to the left. I'm not actually spending a significant amount of time moving sideways. Now that's the problem, and that's the second big point that I want to discuss. Because we naturally perceive our world this way, we take that same thought process subconsciously, we take that whole same thought process into our snowboarding, and let me elaborate. As I'm snowboarding and I'm going down the hill, I'm traveling towards you, essentially I'm taking this field of vision right here and I'm rotating, and now I'm in this twisted position that I've shown you in the photos and those slides before, is I'm all twisted. Essentially, I'm trying to just be in this position because it's natural. The thing is, it's not powerful, it's not efficient, but it's comfortable, and that's the problem. I want you to be able to understand that this position is not really helping you at all. That's the truth. So let's look back and think about that body position of that really strong guy that's lifting a bunch of weights. Essentially, his shoulders, hips, and body's in this nice plane, it's nice and stacked, right? Well, when we're on a snowboard, we want to replicate that as much as possible. And then what we do is we simply take our chin and we rotate over, and now we're in this strong position, and I can jump and I can do all these really cool tricks because I'm in this strong position. And that's the key here, is understanding why I naturally want to rotate this way. That's not awesome. I want to be in that strong position. I simply take my chin, I look in your direction, and I want to get used to this position. This is key. All right, so let's keep it going. Let's jump back in the studio. By studio, I mean let's jump back into the slides.
Alrighty, and then the harsh reality of this is this position caused me literally to dislocate my knee 5 times. Essentially, I would do backside 7s and I would completely land in this weird backseat position just like this guy, and then boom, pop, there goes my knee. Literally. And I would have to like tumble down the landing of the jump, and then I have to scoot myself to the side of the woods, and I would actually have to pop my knee back in. And that's like, oh man. And then the worst part was that now I've developed the mindset that I can't land a back 7 without dislocating my knee. Therefore, I start getting really scared, and now I am building all these mental blocks because every time I land 7s, I dislocate my knee. So then all of a sudden, I have all this fear. The biggest problem is that you think you're doing everything right because it feels natural. As I just described, it feels natural, it feels right. So you may not have any idea that you were doing this wrong, but you are making snowboarding so much harder than it actually needs to be. If we don't know what to change, then how do we ever change it? So the coolest thing, once you're able to build this strong stance, you will build your confidence because you're able to land tricks more often because you're in a better and stronger position. Now let's take that 720 for example. What if I landed that 720 99 out of 100 times and I never dislocated my knee? All of a sudden, I have confidence. I've built this success. So I built this success, and now that I landed the trick like almost literally every single time I've ever tried it, I'm not scared of it anymore. So I've actually taken fear out of the equation because I'm actually landing tricks. Like, sounds pretty incredible, right? So once you're able to build this strong stance, you're putting yourself in a better body position to land more tricks. If I'm in that weak position, it's really hard to actually snowboard in that position. So then how am I going to land tricks if I'm actually making it so much harder for myself? Secret number 2, fear is making snowboarding way harder than it needs to be. So what happens when you're scared? Let's say you're walking down the street and somebody jumps out from a bush or around a corner. Your natural reaction is to jump backwards. You actually jump back because your mind and your body are trying to jump away from danger. So you're moving backwards, creating more distance from the danger. So by jumping back, so when it comes to snowboarding and the actual snowboarding that we do, by jumping backwards or being in that back position, it amplifies this backseat position. So now this position, we're going to be going off of a jump in this position completely terrified and actually making snowboarding so hard. So we're naturally going to be in this position when you're scared. And especially when you try new tricks, you're hitting new features, or you're doing something outside of your comfort zone, you're going to be amplifying this position because you're scared. Not because you mean to, because that's our natural reaction. And as you get closer to the feature, you get more scared. If you're trying something new, you're getting more scared. So then your body and mind subconsciously forces you to move your weight further back. And then once you're in the air, then what do? We're already in this bad position. So once we're in the air, our natural reaction is to like look down so that we know where we are. We're actually trying to find where we are in space. So we're looking down to the ground, and then we reach for the ground.
So here I have some real world examples of exactly what I'm talking about in the previous slides. So this rider right here is going to be popping out of the trees, and he's trying to do a frontside 360 and right away make it look super awesome, super clean. Now, there's a couple things that I'm going to point out. Okay, so right here, he's doing things pretty right. He's being able to pop off the jump and look in the direction he wants to travel. Like I said, it's frontside. And then he gets about 90 degrees, maybe even 180, and his eyes start to look directly at the ground. He's essentially starting to get really nervous, really scared. And then once his eyes look at the ground, and then we can start to see this hand right here starts to move down. and he starts to reach for the ground. He reaches for the ground, and then, oh, if he was able to keep a better body position, keeping his eyes up and actually rotating the whole thing without reaching for the ground, this trick would 100% be doable. But he got nervous, he got scared, and he reached for the ground, and it made it really impossible to actually get the full 360-degree rotation. So the next clip I have is a pretty intense clip. So let's just watch it and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So obviously it's actually a girl, this young girl is like really high in the air, and right about here she starts to panic, her arms start to flail, and she knows that, this is a pretty scary situation. So then ideally is being able to put your body in the right position and then, not reach for the ground. Once you reach for the ground, this is kind of pretty much over. And then luckily, I do know this girl and she was totally fine. She was able to get up and right away, but pretty intense, right?
So now you're going to be asking yourself, all right, Tommy, how do I fix this? You have to be in the right body position at the right time. If you're able to do that, snowboarding becomes easy.
We're going to get into real world examples of what you should actually be doing. Now, this whole fear thing, it obviously starts from way back here. So I literally have to go into this jump pretty fast to make sure that I can clear it. In this example, I'm doing a 720, so I actually have to be able to spin and go blind and do all these really crazy things, but I have to be able to be in the right body positions at the right time, or else how am I going to be able to land this trick? That's really important. So few key points would be, as I'm going into this jump, that I'm managing my speed and I'm in the right body position. I'm not leaning too far back like somebody's jumping out from around the bush, as the example I used earlier, or a scary walk in the woods. I don't want to be scared. I want to be in a nice strong position where my weight is even. So as I take off, my weight is between both of my feet, and then that allows me to actually get the full rotation as well as be in this like nice strong position here. Notice that I'm not super back seat and I'm not falling. My arms are not waving. They're nice and still. This back hand essentially is just going along for the ride. So as I said, this hand is just up in the air. I'm able to spot my landing, so I know exactly what I'm doing. And then I'm putting my landing gears down. Now, if you notice, the biggest thing that stands out to me is how these arms are really quiet through this crazy maneuver. I'm not having to wave. Essentially, when you're swinging your arms everywhere, it tells your body that you're out of balance and it's trying to recover. It's trying to get in a balanced position. But if I'm already in a good position, I don't have to wave. I don't have to panic. And then as I land, get in a nice squat position, my eyes and shoulders and everything's looking downhill. And this allows me to, boom, ride away. And then all of a sudden, this trick seems pretty simple, right? If you're in the right body position at the right time, this stuff is really simple.
So, the right body position at the right time. And I found this picture and I thought it was so funny and so amazing. So, we got the little clock on the left. This guy's happy. He's stoked. So he's the guy who's like landing. He's in the right body position at the right time. And he's actually making snowboarding really easy. Now the guy in the middle, yeah, he's got mostly the right body position, but maybe the wrong time. Maybe he has the right time with the wrong body position. And he's kind of like crashing or stumbling a little bit and just, not necessarily having the greatest day. And then we got the clock on the far right. This blue guy, unfortunately, is full of tears because he's got the wrong body position and completely the wrong time, and he's crying, and he's probably ended up in the hospital because he wasn't doing the right body position at the right time. Does that make sense? So now, I want to be able to give you guys something like super exciting, and the secret number 3 is your shoulders are the most powerful weapon in snowboarding. Like seriously, it's so cool what your shoulders can do. And your shoulders dictate whether you spin a 180 or a 1260, whether you come out regular or switch on rails, and whether if you land the trick or not. Like it's so powerful what your shoulders are actually doing. And you need to learn to control your shoulders. So let me ask you a question now. Is your shoulders helping you or are they hindering you? So not right now, but like after this whole video thing is done, I want you to go back to some clips that you have in your phone or on Instagram or that a buddy has shot of you. And I want you to ask that question, are my shoulders helping or hindering me? Am I in the right body position? Am I in that strong stance? Or am I super twisted like we were talking about in secret number 1? Are your shoulders helping you or hindering you? Now, once you understand how to control your shoulders, you're going to unlock a whole new level of snowboarding and be able to do some really fun, incredible tricks. I'm going to give you some
So
examples.
now I wanted to show you a real world example of what it's like to unlock the next level of snowboarding with your shoulders. So I'm going to just show you a quick clip. I'm going to replay that one more time for you. So what makes this trick so cool and so unique is that I'm actually able to spin a backside 360 and my hand is reaching. So this arm over here normally would reach for this grab, but it's actually reaching across my entire body and grabbing the opposite side. And by grabbing the opposite side, I'm rotating this direction while grabbing that direction. So it's actually working against each other. But once you understand how to utilize your shoulders, you unlock crazy tricks like this. You see how twisted that is? Like, that shouldn't really be possible. And then it is, because I've understood how to really utilize those shoulders and those arms. So let's watch it one more time. Pretty crazy, right?
And then I got this other video that I have here of me snowboarding at Hood, and watch my shoulders and watch what I end up spinning. So I end up spinning a backside 900 on a pretty small jump. It's probably like 25-foot jump. But because I'm able to utilize my shoulders and create so much incredible power, that it's pretty fast and it's pretty hucked, but it's not out of control while being in control, right? So I want to go back and notice that one more thing. I want you to watch the landing position on how my shoulders, hips, and knees are stacked over my snowboarding. So I want you to watch this real quick. All right, so I do this backside 900, and then I'm able to throw my shoulders really quick, and then boom, like we're back in that strong position. And as the frame right here is frozen, we're able to see that my shoulders, hips, and knees are all stacked. I'm in that position that I was telling you earlier, that secret number 1, and even 2, that positions are everything. That position allowed me to land. But then the shoulders are helping me land. Those shoulders are helping me generate all this crazy rotational force to get me to do some really cool things. Okay, so let's recap. We got secret number 1, which was how to land 10 times more tricks by simply land. Okay, so let's recap. Secret number 1 is how to land 10 times more tricks by simply changing one thing. And remember how powerful that stance can be. It's literally like gonna change your snowboarding. Secret number 2, fear is making snowboarding way harder than it needs to be. So remember, you want to be in strong positions, especially at the time of you're most scared. You got to resort back to that strong position that we talked about in secret number 1. Secret number 3, your shoulders are the most powerful weapon in snowboarding. Once you understand secret 1, secret 2, then you just all of a sudden unlock these really cool things with secret number 3. You're able to do some incredible, incredible things.